Welcome to Contrarians, and tonight we have a loose topic and a loose panel. Choose 3 albums to represent Earth on a spaceship. We want to hear from you in the chat. What would you choose? Let's do it. Welcome to the Contrarians, and I want to welcome tonight's panel, Andrew, Philip, and the Elder of Rock. Tonight's topic, pick 3 albums that you could take into space to represent Earth. I think Marco came up with this, but he's not here, and I don't know what his picks were, and I'm going to say, well, whatever. But we do have a panel, so we're going to carry on in tribute to Marco. Anyway. Gentlemen, how are you? You ready to talk some spaceship rock?
Yeah, what the hell?
What the hell? Pick 3 albums. I'm thinking, how should we do this?
Space travel is also very hyped at the moment. So
I don't have anything picked, but I know probably what I would pick. I didn't prepare much for this, but I can rally. Same with the Elder. So, all right. Who was any? It really, I think it was Marco's topic, right? It wasn't anybody here, right?
No, I didn't know.
No.
Come on. Marco's on, I don't know what he's up to. Well, he had kids and stuff. He's all worked up. Anyway, should we just do 3, 3, and 3 and just go around?
Yeah.
It's just 3.
Sure.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to throw out to Andrew so I can give him some shit for picking a certain artist, but that's okay. Andrew, go ahead. Give us your 3, and we'll go Philip, and then the Elder, and then I'll go and give you my...
Okay, well, I was going to start with something different, but now I'm going to start with the obvious one. The album that I would send into space to represent Earth, the album that every prophet would listen to, that every
prophet...
what every great human would be listening to is Joshua Tree.
Oh,
by U2. And let me tell you what, I mean, so this album seethes with greatness. And I don't know why in recent years it's kind of fallen off everyone's radar as one of the greatest albums of the world. I have a theory that it's because Target and Walmart don't put it on shirts like they do Dark Side of the Moon or things like that. But if kids were wearing this t-shirt, which they should be because it looks great on a t-shirt, this album would actually be more recognized. And it should be, because if you listen, it is a flawless album. It's a flawless album from start to finish. It's a flawless album about isolation, and people, I always feel like U2 is one of the most misunderstood bands there is. But Joshua Tree is simply an album about isolation.
So if we go up in a spaceship to represent Earth, we want to represent an album about isolation.
Which is
that what you're saying?
I would think Bowie would agree with me. Yes, I think that it is a perfect album for a spaceship. But it's also, I mean, it's just the album is about the human struggle. It's for and again, from start to finish, it's a great album. It is what made U2 go from kind of a cultish post-punk band to like a major rock band. As I said a few shows ago, I don't forget the Brian Eno component of this, which really elevates this into this kind of atmospheric realm that it is. And people sometimes think about this album for like the big hits on the album, but the deep cuts on this album, One Tree Hill, listen to that song. I mean, even if you're not a U2 fan, listen to the song One Tree Hill, and it's hard to get past that. So the Joshua Tree is definitely the album that I would first send up to represent humans, Earth, the human struggle on Earth, and it pretty much, it's a little slice of the meaning of life, this album.
Okay, all right, he's like waiting for us to make a comment.
For some backlash.
Go ahead, Elder. You're ready.
I don't. That's fine. I mean, I understand. That I don't. Wait, you hear my picks is all I say because my.
All I know is, Andrew, I thought
Oh,
you were
wait
going
till
to
you
lead
hear
off with the
mine.
David Lee Roth band.
Oh,
And
there you
you
go.
didn't, and I'm
You
disappointed.
have that at the ready.
Oh, yes, I'm ready. Because
Yeah.
that's my first pick to
I mean,
represent.
I would think that actually is representative. But
I'm going to
it's
pick something that's a
representative.
classic.
Yeah.
But
Am I doing all three at once?
go ahead, just do it. Well, we don't have
I mean,
to.
I can. I
All right, now let's just do it. We got plenty of time. What the hell? We're just having fun on this show. Let's throw it over to Philip. Philip, we're
Okay.
just gonna 1-1-1 and just go around. Let's just do that. Philip, what's your first choice?
All right, so I didn't want to go about this just like, choosing. I didn't want to just choose like three albums that I love or that I consider to be quote unquote great, that sort of thing. I wanted to think of like, okay, like if you put music in space orbiting the Earth, it needs to have some kind of meaning in relation to like looking down at Earth or putting something in space that represents the greatness of humanity or something like that. So bear with me. My first choice, and this might be a bit surprising, but I have an explanation for it, is actually the latest. No, it's not David Lee Roth Band.
God damn
It's
it.
it's the latest album by Steven Wilson, The Overview. And I'm not choosing that because it is, a film. Sorry, it's not an album that like has been established as one of the great stepping stones in the history of rock music and contemporary music in general, like Joshua Tree, but because it is an album that thematically deals with the overview effect, which is the kind of feeling of estrangement and awe and shock that an astronaut experiences when looking down at Earth from space. And there are two songs on the album. One song speaks about the feeling of loneliness and uh, you know as earthlings who are like alone in the universe and looking up in space and the sort of wonder that comes with that. And the second song is about looking, well, the first song is about looking to space from Earth and what that brings with it, and the second song is about looking down at Earth from space and this sort of feeling of awe and greatness and of grandeur and like God or whatever. So I thought that at least thematically, I thought that that would kind of like maybe even in a geeky way, it would be interesting as a choice. And in addition to that, I think it's a really great album, which in the very present, in 2025, summarizes like an encyclopedia the entire history of prog rock, of 70s rock, singer-songwriter, everything from Pink Floyd and Dark Side of the Moon, even early Pink Floyd, to, I don't know, Porcupine Tree and everything that Steven Wilson did later on. It feels like a great sort of, yeah, summary of everything that makes 70s prog. No, not Ghost, definitely not. Uh, cannot stand them, don't like them. What can I say?
It's all good.
Yep. Yeah, so that's my first choice. And
All
I think
right, I like
I
it.
gave you my reasoning behind it.
Is anybody going to mention Ghost in this show?
Are you getting
If-
paid
I
by the
might.
band or something to advertise
if
it?
we have time for honorable mentions, I will totally.
Sure, we're keeping it loose. This is the last show of the month. We're going to keep it loose. I wish we would have done this live. If I would do this over again, this would be a live show. And think about it. If you go into space,
Oh, that-
we could get all the people watching their views on it. This
Yeah,
is definitely
would have been a
made for
good
live
chat.
show.
Definitely would have
It
been.
would have
Yeah.
been a great chat. So
We'll definitely
anyway,
put it in the live
Philip,
chat.
I'm just giving you crap. I think, hey,
Yeah,
Steven
man.
Wilson, all right, it's all good. All right, Elder,
All right.
I can only imagine what you're gonna pick.
Well, just sitting here thinking about it,
Love Beach.
and
There
it is. For the cover alone, I mean, it's got to be Love Beach. I mean, the
100%.
aliens would see that and think all of us on Earth were these really cool guys.
Yes, they
I
would.
feel like as Floridians, we should really, embrace the cover of Love Beach.
Mm.
Hey, you know,
Weren't they in the Bahamas when they recorded that though?
was it? I have no
I
idea.
don't know. I think somewhere exotic.
Looks like somewhere with palm trees in it.
I mean, we're close to the Bahamas here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Rub it in. Anyway,
All
go
right,
ahead, Elder. Go ahead, Elder.
All right, so my thinking of sitting here thinking about this, and I think my first one is going to be "Master of Reality" by Black Sabbath.
Not AC/DC Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Well, I understand.
Jesus
That's got
criminy.
big balls on it, and I could see why you'd want the aliens to hear big balls.
All right, go ahead.
But, but Master of Reality. Same thing about it. It's got like all the themes basically of what we struggle with as human beings on there. It's Sweet Leaf talks about, okay, maybe not that one so much, but you got After Forever, talks about religion and God. You got Children of the Grave, which talks about war and how bad it is. Lord of this World.
Oh God.
You sure your choice wasn't Saint Anger?
Not for this first one.
Anger.
But you got Lord of this World, which is basically about the devil, and then you got a cool Ballad in Solitude, which talks about loneliness, and then you got Into the Void, which talks about humans going into space to avoid the Earth because it's gotten blown up. So
makes sense. Yeah,
I'm right
That
there
makes
with
sense.
you. Especially if I'm going to pick a Black Sabbath album, that's the one I'm picking too. That's
I don't know if I'd pick Black Sabbath because that might be for any alien that's going to see that, they're just going to look at it and go, "What the freaking?"
And they might be scared of us because of it as well. What is this? Or they might like it. Who knows?
not going to invade that planet. Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
All
or
right, I
aliens
accept
might be
that,
total
Elder.
headbangers. You never know. Hey, who knows what alien music sounds
Well,
like?
I'm
Right?
going to go with Saint Anger because I think we all know this is like one of the greatest Metallica albums of all time.
Yes.
Actually, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
If I'm going to throw something out, I'm not going to throw something out that's been a rehash of whatever has been done. Now, if you're going to do Metallica, and if you want to throw something like Master of Puppets, you want to do something that was groundbreaking. So if I'm going to send something to space, it's got to be something that was groundbreaking. Unlike U2, which was a rehash of what's already been done.
What was Joshua Tree a rehash of other than Perfection? I mean,
So I'm going to go back to the 60s where everything was on fire, everything was new and shiny. Because when you get to the 80s, everything's been done already. The only thing that happened in the calm down, Andrew. Calm down. The only thing that happened in the 80s, or actually in the late 70s, that was new was hip hop. And you can quote me on that, whether you like hip hop or not. That's the only new thing that happened. So by the 80s, everything's a rehash that what happened in the 60s. So I'm going to go with, I think my first pick, I'm going to go with the Beatles' Revolver because I think, or Pepper, because Pepper's not the best Beatle album, but considering what they had to work with, it was very influential. I'm going to go with Revolver because I like that. That's considered probably the best Beatle album. And come on, I'm just saying, I'm going to go with Beatles' Revolver because go ahead.
It's hard to argue with that. That to me, that's the quintessential Beatles album. But my next pick is going to be arguing with that.
God, this is a great show. Jesus. All right. And I don't have to explain the Beatles to this panel, though maybe I might have to. But anyway, Beatles' Revolver, I'm going to send that into space. So there you go. All right. We're just having fun, ladies and gentlemen. Well, except for Andrew's picks. But all right, Andrew, what's your second pick?
All right. I'm going to pick an album by a band that persuaded the Beatles to be something bigger than their earlier period. That's a band that basically progressed music to what it became in the 70s, in the 60s. Little surf rock band we call the Beach Boys. And some people might throw Pet Sounds out there. I'm actually throwing Brian Wilson's Teenage Symphony to God.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have a problem. I'm with you.
And here's the thing about Smile. If you only know Smile because of Smiley Smile, you are missing out. Oh yeah. I mean, and it really is, it lives up to the hype. It lives up to the hype of what everyone was wondering it was. And actually, okay, Grant, do you have Brian Wilson's version of it?
I
Brian
do. Did you want me to
Smile?
pull that? I don't have it right
Yes.
here. But...
No, that's also great, but great in a different way. Both sound different. Oh God,
Yngwie
you
Malmsteen?
put Yngwie Malmsteen while I'm discussing Brian Wilson.
Jesus. Hold on, my record just...
So I'm throwing Smile in there because Smile to me is the first true, like, if you're gonna say like truly prog rock album, it is Smile. And it is Smile, and from the orchestration of it, from the thematics of it, and just the fact that it is so wildly complex. And it would take until 1987 to top that album when a little band from Dublin, Ireland released the job.
Oh, good God Almighty!
Just throwing that on.
All right.
Yeah.
I would agree. Okay, if he could have finished it, because if you listen to the tracks that's on the box set, Smile was mostly finished. They hadn't assembled it into an order.
Right.
But if you listen to the tracks, yeah, it's pretty much done. And if he hadn't, I don't know if it was the LSD, I don't know if it was the drugs, I don't know if it's the pressure from the band.
That's what I think it was. I think.
But if Smile would have come out prior to Pepper, I think the Beach Boys would have been on a different trajectory, so to speak. We would have looked at it a lot differently. It's sad that I've got the Sea of Tunes box set with all the bootlegs and stuff. I got all that stuff. I think things would have been different, but unfortunately, the Beatles and the Beach Boys were in a loose competition.
You
Beatles won. They weren't all screwed up. Like Brian was running the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, and they were, and the Beach Boys didn't help themselves out with the post Brian stuff. But I will say, if Smile had come out, even if you had the '60s lag, albums like Sunflower and Surf's Up would have gotten
good records
deserved, and those are both amazing records. Even Holland is a good album, even though Brian didn't have much to do with that. But the other Beach Boys would have benefited from Smile being what it was. But
it would have been a different. It would have been a different world had Smile have come out prior to Pepper. That's all I'm gonna say.
I totally agree.
But by the time Sunflower and Surf's Up came out, they were out of favor. Think about it. Hendrix had already put the kibosh on everything and changed everything pretty much. It's true.
Well, this is the thing. The Beach Boys, when Sunflower and Surf's Up come out, are still seen as like a 10-year-old poppy surf rock band because no one's recognizing the work they were doing kind of underground. And so, no one in 1971 wants to go buy a Beach Boys album. They're,
Right.
We're buying other stuff. So,
all right, cool. All right. See, that was a tangent, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're going to start talking Beach Boys, I'm going to get all worked up and I won't shut up. Excellent choice, Andrew. Now I agree with you 100%.
There we go.
Let's throw it over to Philip. Philip, what's your next pick?
Right. I don't know if anyone's going to agree with me on this one.
Probably not.
It is a bit of a contrarian choice, maybe. But because of this theme, again, I wanted to choose something that's not just a quote-unquote great album or one that, for sentimental reasons, I keep very close. I wanted to choose something which second choice would be something that has to do with like the idea of looking at the world from like a bird's eye view, or from eye view of someone, I don't know, Elon Musk in space or whatever. Hey, I'm gonna go on a political tangent. No,
Oh
just
no,
kidding.
we don't do politics here.
Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. So, the idea of, okay, I'm gonna get just ever so slightly political, and that is
Okay, go
to
ahead.
say that I want to choose something that has to do with looking at Earth from space, or orbiting Earth and looking down at it and saying, what a shit show is Earth, and is this the life that we want? Which is the name of the last studio release. Well, 2017 studio release by Roger Waters. Is this one of Martin Popup's favorite albums of the last decade, FYI? Is this the life we really want? The cover of the album is pretty bad. The title is a bit weird, but I thought, first of all, I adore Roger Waters. He is who he is. We all know that he's a bit of a nutter, and he's the relationship, the role he played in breaking up Pink Floyd is also well established. But I still love the guy for many, many reasons. One of them also because I think he's a great songwriter. Even to this day, I think he's a really, really great songwriter. And I really think this is a great album. But the reason I choose it is because I really like the way he talks about the state of the world, wars, this destruction, that kind of destruction, etc., etc. And what better choice for an album to like to imagine Roger Waters looking down on Earth and on Earthlings
It's
and
kind of
saying,
scary.
and asking, is this the life we really want on Earth as Earthlings? So let's see what the comments will say about that.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to go down that road, when the Bible was compiled, everybody thought that the earth was on its way out then. We're still here, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Yeah.
Roger thinks it's the end all be all, but, as humans, we just keep going. And we always think that it's the end of the world, but we're still here.
Ask REM.
I-
Just like ask REM, you might want to send that REM album up.
There you go.
Oh,
That's-
yes, that one.
I
Yes,
totally
indeed.
agree with that pick. That is an amazing album, and I think it does represent
Thank
you.
you.
And here's a contrarian thing to say. I rank that album above Wish You Were Here. I think that is
Oh, geez.
yeah, that's an amazing album, and it's like Roger Waters, like his statement, and it's so Roger, and the production
It is.
is amazing on that, and I didn't think he could top Amused to Death as a solo album, and that one did. So yeah,
What
Yeah.
year did that come out, Philip?
2017.
2017. I've never heard it. I'll have to check it out. Now you've got
the
me
title track
spending
alone.
money.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I haven't heard it. So,
I mean,
One
just
of Martin
listen to the
Popup's favorite
title.
albums.
It's
well, I don't listen to Pop Off. He didn't know what he sung.
Anyway, that's my second choice.
Excellent. All right. I haven't heard it. I applaud you.
Hey, I got to turn you on to something.
Well, all these shows, that's what it does, and I spend money
Yeah.
that I don't
Yeah,
want
really.
to.
Yeah, you haven't spent any money yet this episode.
Oh
though.
yeah, I spent money today, so let's just my wife's downstairs. All right, let's Elder, give us your
All
next pick.
I guess my next one, I'm going to choose Van Halen 1. Just because it's such a great album. I think if
can see
aliens would
that.
hear it, they would like it and think it was a lot of fun and think maybe Earthlings were a lot of fun. And then, or, you've all seen Back to the Future, right? Have you all seen the movie?
Never heard of it.
And there's that scene where he puts the headphones on the dad, I can't remember his name, not Marty, the dad's,
George.
whatever the dad's name is.
George.
And puts them on, and it's a tape of Van Halen, and he plays it because he's dressed as an alien, and he's thinking this is alien music. So this is what I would think, kind of like aliens would hear Eruption, and I don't know, they wouldn't know what to think. Maybe they think we're very smart, or maybe they would think we're very violent. I don't know, whatever. But Anyway, that's just off the top of my head. Van Halen won.
I could see that because that kind of changed the whole way that kids who of that era were taking guitar lessons and they all wanted to emulate Eddie Van Halen. It's like when the Beatles started and all the kids saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, it started a whole thing. Eddie Van Halen, I could see that choice because it started a whole movement, so to speak. And then you had a lot of these guys that are all Eddie Van Halen clones. Eddie did it first, and then it's an important record. I get it.
Yeah, you can totally picture aliens partying to whatever eruption or
100%. All right, good choice, Elder.
They might hear it and say, "We got a guy that can do that." I mean, and he's got 2 hands or whatever.
but I still think it's an important record in the history of rock and roll. That's what I'm trying to promote. Records that are historically historic, unlike YouTube Joshua Tree, which was a rehash of what's already been done before.
What does it rehash?
Just giving you crap.
Yeah,
it's all right. I'm gonna go off what Elder says. Yeah. Now, who came before Van Halen? Hendrix, who set the world on fire. Now, we had Clapton before. People thought that Clapton was God, but Clapton saw Hendrix, and Clapton wanted to throw he was done. Think about Jimi Hendrix, Monterey Pop Festival, 1967 of June, coming in there like an alien, doing what he was doing because no one else did it at the time. RU Experience, Axis. I think I would recommend Electric Ladyland. I think that was his masterpiece. I mean, the solo to Along the Watchtower, one of the greatest guitar solos ever on the planet. I'm going to throw out Jimi Hendrix. I'm sending Jimmy and I'm sending Revolver into space so far because they were groundbreaking. That's the way I look at it. It has to be groundbreaking stuff. But so I totally get Van Halen won. Let's send that too, because it was for us kids back in the day. That was a big deal, you know. I can't say anything lately since Van Halen won that has really set the world on fire. Let me think about that for a second.
The new Ghost album.
No, there's nothing guitar-wise on the Ghost album that would set anybody on fire.
It's the
not like Van Halen. No kid is going to go, hey, I want to go and play like Faceless Guy number 2.
You'll have guitar player learning those lyrics.
No. You guys are totally wrong.
Faceless ghouls.
No one wants to learn how to Faceless Ghoul one plays.
In fact, that's the one thing about Ghost is starting to bum me out, is that I don't know who the musicians really are. And that's
because they fluctuate.
Well, sometimes, but I think the last couple of tours he's had the same band. It just seems that way.
That's the interesting thing that Jamie Laszlo said recently on Sea of Tranquility, which is that Ghost, you don't feel like you're listening to a band.
Well, that's the thing. You do see these last couple albums. I do feel like it's a band.
The way it is.
I do feel like it's a band, except for I just don't know who's playing what for sure. And I think he has basically. I know he has maybe a couple guys he does strictly studio, but I think for the most part, it's the band he's had on tour.
Until he pisses them off and fires them.
The guitarist for Opeth was
he's doing most of the guitar work.
He's the guitarist for this on most of the tracks on this album.
Really?
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Ackerfeld, he does like I think all but maybe 2 songs, which I don't know if
Which
I'm good with that.
Doing those 80s kind of hair metal sounding guitar licks that he's doing, which is
But he shreds on a lot of it. He shreds like there's a lot of shredding going on a lot of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I really like that album.
Yeah.
All right, cool, excellent. All right, let's throw it over to Andrew and get his third pick.
All
I
right,
can only imagine what he's going to choose.
it's, you know what? I'm gonna go with another Roger Waters statement to the world that I think also is gonna be good, well represented to the aliens that find our spaceship. Not Dark Side of the Moon, but
Should be.
no, animals.
Mm.
Animals
Again, being political.
Again,
Go ahead, Philip.
I'm going with everything that represents the human struggle. Joshua Tree, Smile, Animals. These albums, like, you will get to know our species on Earth if you listen.
Really, you sure that's what you want to promote?
I don't.
To the aliens.
I'm not trying to sugarcoat our species to the aliens. This represents us. Joshua Tree, Smile, and aliens. Isolation, insanity, and paranoia. That's us. And
God, we are a horrible species, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I hear.
But yeah, so that's what I'm throwing up there. And musically, Animals is to me the ultimate Pink Floyd album. I think it's them at their best. I think it's them before they get to Bob Ezrin and after they're a little too psychedelic-y, and it's right there at the sweet spot where they are just I agree. Floyd. Yeah, and I think all the members of Pink Floyd are firing on all cylinders in that album. It gets accused of being a Roger Waters solo album or the start of the Roger Waters solo period, but I mean, Gilmour's stuff on Animals, I've said it before, Gilmour's stuff on Final Cut is actually good, and I don't know why he craps all over that album, but his contributions to Animals are amazing, and it's to me it's a perfect album. But all three of the albums I've thrown up there are perfect. Actually, all the albums we've all suggested are near perfect albums. I'm feeling like, but nothing's as perfect as Joshua Tree, of course,
or Animals.
Well, except for maybe Unforgettable Fire, but I'm not even bringing up
no. I remember when Unforgettable Fire came out, and I went, "What has gone on?" We had War, which was a perfect record. Don't shake your head because you're not right.
No, I am right.
No, you're not.
War is a good album, but War is a good album like The Alarm and R.I.P. Mark.
No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna delete you.
No,
I'm just giving you shit.
Yes.
War, I thought, was a great record. There's not one thing I would skip on it. They sounded raw. They sounded hungry.
I agree.
Joshua Tree was the first. Joshua Tree. Unforgettable Fire sounded more commercial.
No, Unforgettable Fire is taking War and making it transcendental and putting it into a new realm.
Not a good realm.
No, a perfect realm with Brian Eno.
I don't care for what Brian Eno brought. I like Steve Lillywhite.
I mean, it was good, but it's good like The Alarm, and I love The Alarm. I love The Clash. I love that stuff. But Unforgettable Fire is a whole different beast. And so is
another tangent.
And so is Achtung Baby. We're eventually going to have a U2 episode on Contrarians. No, one day it's going to get
if I can help it,
and we are going to get that episode.
I don't think you can get Martin on board with that. Maybe the Dead Boys or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate that. That's cool. I'm just giving you crap. We're just having fun here tonight. All right, Andrew, your excellent choices. All right, Philip, what's your number 3?
All right. For my final choice, I wanted to just go with something to represent the genius of music. To choose something that is like one of those moments in the history of all of music, not just like rock music, but all music, at least in the 20th century, that could be in space for eternity until the universe implodes or whatever. Something to represent like one of those watershed moments in the history of music, which it shows. How did you know?
I just know you, Philip, and I knew you were going to choose Bush.
No, of course not. It's Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh God, you're gonna stun everybody. That's what you're
Okay,
gonna
no, of
do.
course, I'm choosing my final choice is Queen, Night at the Opera,
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Oh wow,
because
good
I
one.
think it is one of those
Damn,
kind of
why didn't
like
I think of that?
genius moments in the history of music for a multitude of reasons: composition, production, the blending of genres, the fact that this band is not just firing all cylinders, but the fact that they're basically like playing any kind of genre of music from like country to heavy metal. One of the most important,
Vaudeville.
most
Yeah.
influential bands in the history of music. At one of their best moments, displaying a real kind of like genius. It's a moment of genius that's been covered in the annals of history. So I thought, what better album to put in space to sort of like represent musical genius. Of course, I could have been totally pretentious about it and chosen the Brandenburg concertos of Johann Sebastian Bach or whatever, but no, obviously not.
We don't roll that way over here.
No, we don't. We don't.
But I totally get Night at the Opera.
Yeah, there you
100%.
go.
That's a good one.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Cool.
Represents a lot of different styles. The thing
Yeah.
about Night at the Opera is it represents a lot of different styles, but for some reason, the way it's sequenced, everything works. You can go from a hard rockin' track and then they're doing something from the 20s. I don't know why it should work. It shouldn't work on paper, but
And
it
all
works.
done with like with guitars and stuff. Like the way he made his guitars sound like a clarinet and different
Or
things.
the stuff with all the overlaying voices on Prophet's
Yeah.
song, and of course
Oh yeah.
in Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah,
Yep. I agree 100%.
cool.
Not that it matters. I'm just a monkey. I don't care,
There we
but
go.
I could see sending that into space. Oh,
But not
I can
hot
only
space.
imagine what the elder's going to bring up. Probably Bon Jovi. Let's see what he said.
Yes.
Yes, Bon Jovi. No, actually it's gonna be Queen Hot Space. No,
Okay, I could see that.
no. I don't know. I've been sitting here trying to think of what I would want to send into space. Would I want to scare aliens with something like Pantera and Motorhead?
No, probably not.
No, you're
So
not
I
going to
guess
scare them with Pantera. You're going to scare them with like cattle decapitation or something.
true. Cannibal Corpse and whatever. So I don't know. I guess maybe okay. I guess just and then I thought when I first thought about this, I thought well maybe I'd send a comedy album up. I don't know. Like
Oh,
George
good
Carlin's
Lord.
Class Clown that has the 7 words you can't say on television.
So when they come down here to the Earth,
Or
not to
Zappa.
say those words
That's right.
on
They know not to
TV.
offend us.
You can put
So
Zappa.
I guess though sitting here, I guess actually thinking about it, I guess I would also send something by Pink Floyd up, but this is going to be Piper at the Gates of Dawn, just because it's a good spacey, has that space feel, astronomy, donomy, all that stuff, and it's Interstellar
Attaboy.
Overdrive, and
Cool.
it's
Bike.
Sid Barrett
It's
too.
got
It's
bike
Sid
on it.
Barrett.
Like,
So it'd just be just a cool psychedelic spacey album that they probably maybe play it in their spaceship and go, hey, this is cool cruising music, So yeah.
cool. Why not?
I don't have a problem with
Okay.
that.
So,
Yeah, maybe Sid Barrett was an alien.
yeah, you never know, right?
Maybe. Probably all that LSD
Yeah,
that took just kind of
maybe maybe that's
melted
why
him.
he took all that LSD because he was an alien and it made him feel more alien. I don't know.
I'm trying to come up with my third pick.
And I was looking around going, what?
I'm looking around.
There's XTC back there. Yeah.
Village Green Preservation Society by the Kinks, 1968. It basically tells what it's very, it's very English oriented. There's a lot of tracks that deal with everyday life in 1968 or on the English countryside. I'm going to go with that because it is a great record. I can listen to it over and over again. Ray Davies is a brilliant songwriter. I could see sending that into space because I think that's the best Kinks album ever. Yeah, why not? Let's go Village Green. Let's throw that up to space. I'm good with that.
Man, I'm glad the Kinks are getting represented. None of us picked anything punk, by the way.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. Nah.
Yeah, no.
I don't think punk was all that new, to be quite honest. You know, you look at the
As we said,
Ramones.
after the 60s and 70s, everything was rehashed.
It's rehashed.
I was thinking about putting Plastic Surgery Disasters by Dead Kennedys on the Spaceship, just because.
Yeah, but the thing is, what did Dead Kennedys do that you two didn't already do?
The
speed of which they played was incredible, and their political commentary as well.
Do we need that?
They were hardcore with pop
at the time for an American band.
Hardcore with pop hooks too. I mean,
all right. Does anybody have any honorable? We did go around 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got. Do you have anything else to add? Anybody else have anything else you'd send up into space?
I will add an honorable mention because they keep coming up. I'm going to throw Ghost on there, and I'm going to throw let's put Meliora in space.
I don't have that handy. Damn it.
Well, I was about to say Skeleton, the new album, but I felt like that was a little premature. But I think that all Ghost is really good.
We heard that's too commercial.
I mean, they're all commercial. Ghost is
sure, 100%.
Ghost was never claiming to be like some kind of. I think because of the way they dress, people want him to sound like black metal or something.
I've seen comments. I posted that
and it's like
video on my channel, and people go, "Well, they're all Ghost is great until you get the chorus, and the chorus is all poppy." Well,
that's the reason to listen to Ghost.
Of course, that's what sticks in your head. It sticks in your head.
Yeah. No, I mean Meliora is a near perfect album though, and Ghost is unique enough that I think Aliens would probably would shed a little bit more light as to what planet they were about to explore. I would do the deluxe edition so that they would get Square Hammer because that's
Square Hammer, absolutely brilliant. Look at it after all these years of people coming up with songs, rehashing stuff. That chorus, that Square Hammer is so catchy and so original.
Yeah.
Show me somebody else doing melody or hookiness to that extent. I'm good. Ghost is all over.
Yeah, I think in the new album too. I think you see the same stuff. I think there's some classic Ghost moments on the new album that I think will withstand the test of time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think
I would too. Yeah.
All right, good. Philip, you got anything extra you want to throw?
Just for sentimental reasons, I would probably choose the first heavy metal album I ever listened to and which has stayed with me, and that is Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast.
Okay.
But that's just for sentimental reasons. So
I get it. No big deal. It was kind of a big deal when it came out. Think about it. The new wave of British heavy metal. I'm just saying. It was all nice, shiny, and new in the late 70s. I get it. It was an important record. All right, I'm just a monkey, everybody. I'm not okaying stuff, but I totally agree. All right, Elder, give me something. You got to have something else.
Yeah, I almost want to send a Kiss album up. I just don't know which one.
Well, you know which one you're going to send.
The Elder, obviously.
No.
Destroyer.
Yeah, that one, because that was the very first Kiss album I ever owned was Destroyer. So
there you go.
More of a Bob Ezrin album, though, right?
And
no, calm down, Andrew.
It is. I mean, if you compare it to the first 3, it's a Bob Ezrin album.
Yeah, well, it is. But then if you listen to the other albums he did with Kiss, they're also very different. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you?
I don't know that one, or what I should send up Kiss Alive though, because you get, the even though it's not live, but it's live. You think it's live. It sounds live.
But Kiss is a Slade ripoff, is what they are.
Yeah, but they're just what they did and how they've influenced everything from
okay, I'll give you that
music to marketing music to even like we're just talking about Ghost. I'm sure that's obviously Ghost. They had some kind of influence on Ghost.
Well, think about this in the pre-Van Halen era. How many kids were inspired to take up guitar because of Ace Frehley? I'll just leave it at that. That just shows you the amount of influence that it had during that era. It was a big deal.
Actually, Paul Gilbert and Marty Friedman are huge Ace Frehley fans.
I see that. I can see that. Well, the thing is about Ace Frehley, I think, what did Eddie Kramer say? I do believe Eddie Kramer said this. I don't know the exact quote, but he always thought Ace Frehley was a really great player. The fact that he knew how to start a solo and he knew how to end it. If you listen to all those solos, they're all worked out. He knew how to begin it and end it. It's almost like a song within a solo within a song. You have to he wasn't the best guitar player, but he knew how to fit that solo to fit whatever was going on in that Kiss song. I love
it. It was also Ace's birthday this past weekend, so happy birthday, Ace.
Happy birthday, Ace. But yeah, I can see that.
So I just don't know which Kiss album I would send up. Yeah, though, Destroyer, Rock
well,
and Roll.
We're going with Destroyer because
that era. It'd have to be that era, though. It'd have to be that era between the Alive albums. It'd have to be that era.
Rock and Roll Over. I think that's probably
that's a great album. I love that one. Yep. The only thing is, cool. It doesn't. I almost maybe would choose Love Gun also though because it has Ace's vocal on it, Ace's singing on it.
We do have Shock Me on there.
Yeah. And Ace doesn't. I mean, I like Rock and Roll Over, but Ace. I don't think Ace contributed any songs on that. I don't know. Maybe if
Rocket Ride on. Is that just the
Rocket Ride's on Alive too?
Oh, so that's not on an actual studio album.
Well, side 4 is
right.
So it's the side 4 of the live albums. But,
all right. Well, we've went an hour. This was an interesting discussion. What a way to round up the end of the month.
Yep.
And I'm just giving you guys just shit. I think you all had great picks, even though mine were right.
What's really great about the show is we all came to a consensus that the Joshua Tree is the single greatest album that was ever recorded.
Right.
And the fact that we all came to agreement and that everyone in the chat came to that agreement.
I'm just surprised we could pull Philip into that.
I'm surprised. I was surprised I chose it myself.
I know, me too.
I'm going to lobby people in the comments to basically actually get a GoFundMe to send Bono into space.
Well, you won't have a problem because usually when
Bono will probably go on the Blue Origin himself. What are you talking about?
Philip.
At least one person in the comments has already probably said during the live feed of this, YouTube blows. Literally every time I'm on, someone writes that. So yeah.
Oh, you wait till I get
now it's going to be U2 and Ghost suck on this.
Yeah.
Well, I think Ghost is a lot more welcome than U2, but we'll see.
For no reason. What's Bono ever done but put out good music?
Yeah, he said a lot of stuff.
I tell you what, when they put their album on the Apple phones or whatever it was, I think that made a lot of people mad.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I mean, but it is kind of the last drop in the bucket of first world problems. YouTube.
Well, I know, but
true.
Yeah,
that's where we live in a lot.
Yes.
But yeah,
anytime you have a,
I didn't really care one way or the other, but it was just
it's actually
I know a lot of people didn't.
I don't have a problem with the album at all.
Yeah,
I don't listen to it because most of it's been played on the radio. So why listen to it again?
For me, U2 have always been a best of band. If you give me the best of album, that covers me. I'm good with that.
You're missing out then because U2's hits are actually their worst songs. I will say that as a YouTube,
Just
The
like
only-
Judas Priest.
yeah, with
Exactly.
the exception of the song
Hey,
"With or
once
Without
Judas
You," which is
Priest
one of
did
their
Johnny
best.
Be Good,
Yeah.
I was out. Well, I think U2 War, that's my U2.
I like that album, and I like Octoon Baby.
Yeah.
I like that
Philip,
one a
do
lot.
you like any of U2 albums?
I think the Joshua Tree is a great album. Uh, and the best of is pretty good.
Poor Andrew. He's been trying to turn everybody on U2 on the Contrarians, and it's just like,
No, everyone watching this, everyone here, pour yourself a good Irish whiskey, put on Unforgettable Fire, listen to it from start to finish, and then
Okay.
listen to it again. And by the end of your second time listening to it, it will all,
I might go for a Japanese whiskey.
well, or a Japanese whiskey as
hey,
some sense.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right.
Or a
We're
non-alcoholic.
going on a massive tangent.
Yeah.
Or those new
We
THC
always go on
seltzers.
tangent, boys.
Right.
Anyway, let's wrap this dog up. I do want to thank everybody. We're just having fun tonight. It's always fun to razz everybody. Andrew, Philip, and we had the Elder of Rock here tonight. Marco was going to be here. I would have loved to razz Marco because I can only imagine what he would have said. But if you'd like to be on these panels, we'd love to have you. We do have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel that way. We also have a Ko-fi, buy us a pint. Freaking buy Andrew a pint, for God's sakes.
Really, I'm
Buy us a
drinking-
pint or a cup of he's already got a pint.
Yeah.
Jesus, what a train wreck. Support us via Patreon. Wait a minute. Ko-fi, that'd be
Ko-fi.
great. We also take donations, and we just really, all we are about here on this channel is talking music and turning you on to stuff. Let us know what you think. What album would you send to space?
And why?
And why? We're just having fun here tonight. This is just kind of a cool little episode. I appreciate Marco for bringing this up. It's just been fun. So anyway, please like, subscribe if you haven't. I'm sure these gentlemen, unless I've alienated them all tonight, will be back. And it's just fun talking music. That's all we're about. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Keep it
Take
clean.
care.
The rascal, and keep going. All right.